She did not plan to destroy her life on a Tuesday night. It happened in less than 5 seconds. Emily Parker turned the steering wheel of her beat-up compact car, trying to squeeze into a narrow spot in front of the diner. The street was wet from the cold drizzle. Her hands shook from exhaustion. She misjudged the distance by a few centimeters. A harsh scrape tore through the quiet of the night. Her whole body went rigid. She slammed the brakes and closed her eyes for a moment, her breath trapped in her chest. The sound echoed inside her head. "No," she whispered. "Please, no." She forced herself to look. The car beside hers was not just any car. It was a low, black luxury sedan with tinted windows and polished chrome. Even under the weak street lights, it stood out in that working-class street. The sedan now had a long white scratch along the back door where her faded blue car had kissed the paint. Her stomach dropped. Emily got out on shaky legs, jeans damp from the drizzle. She crouched down to inspect the damage. The scratch was ugly, long, and deep enough to show the metal underneath. "This is bad," she whispered. Her first instinct was simple. Get back in the car and drive away. No one was on the street. The diner was almost empty at that hour. The security camera above the door might not even work. The building across the street was mostly dark. No one saw. Her heart pounded against her ribs. Her rent was already late. Her checking account was almost empty. She had $32 in her wallet. A repair on a car like this would cost more than she made in a month. "You can't pay for this," a cruel voice in her head said. "If you walk away, no one will ever know." Emily stared at the scratch, then at her own reflection on the tinted window. The reflection looked pale, with dark circles under her eyes, hair pulled into a messy ponytail. She looked small next to the expensive car. She thought about her mother, about every time she had heard the same sentence growing up. "We do not lie, Em, even when it hurts." Her throat burned. She looked around once more. The street was still empty. The drizzle tapped softly on the roofs and hoods. She opened her old purse and dug inside. Receipts, a pen with no cap, a crumpled grocery list. Finally, she found a small notepad with the logo of Harbor Street Diner on the top. Her fingers were numb from the cold and fear when she clicked the pen. She pressed the paper against the side of her car and began to write. "I'm so sorry. I accidentally scratched your car while trying to park. My name is Emily Parker. I'm a waitress at Harbor Street Diner. I don't have much money, but I will try to pay for the damage, even if it takes time. Phone 917-555-4381. Her handwriting was uneven. The ink smudged slightly where a raindrop fell. She hesitated on the last line, then underlined her name. She folded the note once, carefully, and slid it under the wiper of the black sedan. Her chest felt tight, but there was a strange calm under the fear. She had done what she knew was right. That did not erase the problem, but at least she would be able to sleep. Maybe. She took one last look at the damage, then walked inside the diner, bracing herself for another long shift and for the phone call that would probably ruin her month. 2 hours later, the street looked different. The drizzle had stopped. The wet pavement reflected the yellow streetlights. The diner sign buzzed softly. A black SUV rolled down the block and stopped behind the scratched sedan. Another car pulled up on the other side, blocking the view from the corner. 4 men stepped out first, all in dark coats, eyes scanning the street with sharp, practiced movements. One stayed near the SUV. 2 walked ahead. The last man opened the back door of the SUV. Luca Zanetti stepped onto the sidewalk. He adjusted the cuffs of his black shirt as he closed the door. The fabric stretched over strong forearms. He wore no tie, no coat, despite the cold. His presence alone seemed to shift the air. His dark hair was cut short on the sides and a bit longer on top, slightly pushed back. His jaw was defined, with a short beard. His eyes, a dark hazel, moved slowly over the quiet street with a calm that made his men stand straighter. One of the men, Vince Hale, approached him. "We're clear." The meeting went smooth. "You want to head home?" Luca nodded once and walked toward the sedan. He stopped. His gaze moved from the hood, along the curve of the car, until it landed on the long white scratch across the rear door. The mark stood out harshly against the black paint. Vince swore under his breath. "You have got to be kidding me. Who did this? Do you want me to pull footage? We can—" Luca lifted a hand. He did not raise his voice. He did not curse. He simply studied the scratch for a moment, then reached for the folded piece of paper trapped under the wiper. He opened it. The handwriting was messy, the letters slightly crooked. The paper was damp at the edges, the ink a little blurred in one corner. He read the note twice. "Someone hit the car?" Another guard asked from the side. "You want us to find them?" Luca did not answer immediately. His eyes remained on the name, Emily Parker. Something about the note felt different. People did not do this. In his world, people ran. They lied. They begged. They did not stand in the cold rain writing apologies with their full name and working address. He looked up at the diner sign. Harbor Street Diner. The place was cheap, not his style. Red vinyl booths, greasy food, strong coffee. He had passed it many nights on the way to other places. Once, on a late night, he had gone inside for a quick coffee and a quiet corner to think. He remembered a girl with tired eyes and a shy smile behind the counter. She had refilled his mug without asking questions, hands a little shaky, but voice polite and soft. She had called him sir, even though his black shirt and heavy watch made him stand out in that place. Luca folded the note slowly and slipped it into his pocket. "No broken glass," he said. "No dents, just paint." Vince frowned. "Still an insult. It is a scratch," Luca cut in. "The paint can be fixed." Vince looked at him, confused. "You sure? We can get a name from the plate cameras on the block. Find whoever." "I already have a name," Luca said. He tapped his pocket lightly. "Emily Parker, waitress." He turned his head toward the security camera mounted on the corner of the building next to the diner's sign. "Get the footage from that camera," he told Vince, "and check if the one on the deli across the street caught anything." Vince nodded, still slightly thrown by his boss's calm tone. "You got it." Luca opened the sedan's door. Before he got in, he looked once more at the scratch. He did not like people touching his things without permission. He did not like damage, even small damage. But what bothered him now was not the paint. It was the note that felt out of place in his world. A girl who could have walked away had chosen to write her name. He wanted to see her face again, not as a blurred memory from a late night in a cheap diner, but clearly in front of him. By 3 in the morning, the video was ready. They were in a private office above one of Luca's clubs, the music from the floor below only a faint thump through the thick door. One of his tech guys fast-forwarded through hours of footage until the black sedan appeared on the screen. Luca sat in front of the monitor, one elbow on the armrest of the leather chair, fingers resting against his lips. Vince stood behind him, arms crossed. The sedan glided into the frame and parked. The timestamp showed 11:18 p.m. The street was quiet, a few cars passing now and then. A few minutes later, a small blue car pulled in behind the sedan. "Here we go," the tech guy said. The blue car tried to squeeze into the narrow space. There was a visible jolt on the screen as the bumpers connected. Emily's car stopped. They watched her get out. She wore jeans, a simple black t-shirt, and a light jacket. Her brown hair was tied back in a ponytail. A few strands stuck to her face from the drizzle. She looked young. Even in the grainy footage, the panic on her face was clear as she bent to inspect the damage. Vince snorted. "She looks like she wants to disappear." They watched her pace back and forth for a moment, fingers tangled in her hair. Her shoulders were tense. Twice she turned toward the driver's door of her own car, as if ready to leave. Twice she stopped. Then she dug into her bag, pulled out paper and a pen, and pressed the sheet against her car, writing. The drizzle hit her hair and shoulders as she wrote. She finished, walked over to the black sedan, and placed the note under the wiper with careful fingers. As she turned away, she looked at the scratch again and winced, almost as if it hurt her. She disappeared from the frame into the diner. The tech guy paused the video. Luca leaned back in his chair. He studied the frozen image of Emily's face when she turned toward the diner door. Her features were soft, with a small nose and full mouth. Her eyes looked darker in the footage, but he remembered them, warm brown, with a quiet sadness he had noticed once from across a room. "How much does she make in that place?" he asked quietly. Vince shrugged. "Minimum wage and tips. So not much." "Why?" Luca ignored the question. "Pull everything you can on her," he said. "Address, background, family. I want it clean and fast." "On a waitress who scratched your car?" Vince asked. Luca's gaze shifted to him. It was not angry. It was just steady enough to stop any more questions. "On Emily Parker," he said. Vince raised his hand slightly. "Okay, I'll get the file." When Vince left the room, Luca turned back to the screen. He pressed play again and watched the moment Emily slipped the note under the wiper. He reached into his pocket and opened the paper one more time, even though he knew every line by now. "I don't have much money, but I will try to pay for the damage, even if it takes time." People in his world never wrote things like that. They asked for favors. They offered deals. They hid until he found them. They did not promise effort. They promised excuses. There was no excuse in her note. Only fear and honesty. Luca folded the paper and closed his hand around it. He wanted to see what a girl like that would do when she realized who she was dealing with. Emily's alarm went off at 8 in the morning, and every part of her body wanted to ignore it. Her eyelids felt heavy. Her back ached from hours of walking around the diner. The small studio apartment was cold, the ceiling paint was cracked, and the window let in too much street noise. She rolled onto her back and stared at the water stain on the ceiling for a few seconds, trying to remember why her stomach felt so tight. Then she saw the scene again in her mind. The scratch, the note, the black sedan. "Oh God," she whispered. No one had called her during the night. Her phone lay on the small table beside the bed, silent. Part of her hoped the owner would never call, that they would somehow forget. Another part of her knew that people who drove cars like that did not just forget damage like that. She finally dragged herself out of bed, showered quickly, and put on her uniform, black pants, white shirt, and a pale blue apron with the Harbor Street Diner logo on it. She tied her hair back, dabbed a little concealer under her eyes, and grabbed her bag. By 9, she was behind the counter, refilling sugar containers and aligning menus. "Morning, Em," the cook, Marcus Hill, called from the kitchen window. He was a tall man in his 40s with a shaved head and kind eyes. "You look like you fought a truck." She tried to smile. "Just a long night." "Any news from your landlord?" he asked. "About the leak?" "No," she answered. "But it's fine. I'll figure it out." He gave her a look that said he did not believe that, but he dropped it. The bell above the door rang as a couple of regulars walked in. Emily pasted on her work smile and grabbed her notepad. For a few hours, she almost forgot about the car. The steady rhythm of coffee pours, order slips, and clinking plates kept her mind busy. She moved between tables, refilled mugs, and listened to small talk. Around noon, while she wiped down a booth, Kayla Brooks slid into the seat across from her. Kayla was her friend and co-worker, with eyeliner always perfect and a laugh that carried across the room. "You look tense," Kayla said. "Like, super tense. What happened?" Emily glanced at the door, then at the counter. "I did something bad last night." Kayla's eyebrows shot up. "Bad like I won't tell my mom bad, or bad like I need a lawyer bad?" Emily told her in a low voice about the scratch, the car, and the note. Kayla stared at her. "You hit a luxury car and stayed to write a confession." "What else was I supposed to do?" Emily asked. "Drive away and pretend it was a dream," Kayla whispered. People who own cars like that have people. You know what I mean. You watch the news. Some of them are not exactly gentle." "I know," Emily said. "But if it was your car, would you want someone to drive away?" Kayla sighed and leaned back. "You and your conscience." "Okay, Saint. Maybe the guy is decent. Maybe he has insurance. Maybe he will feel sorry for you and just fix it." Emily looked at her hands. Or maybe he'll sue me and take everything I don't have. Could also be that, Kayla said, trying to sound light. Hey, at least if he shows up, I can check if he's hot before you cry. Emily rolled her eyes, but a small, nervous smile touched her lips. The bell above the door rang again. She did not look up at first. She placed the rag back in the bucket, straightened her apron, and reached for a menu. A low silence spread slowly through the room. Conversations faded. Emily felt the change before she saw it. It was the way Marcus stopped talking mid-sentence in the kitchen, the way Kayla's eyes widened as she looked past Emily's shoulder. "Em," Kayla whispered, her voice suddenly thin. "Don't freak out, but I think your car guy just arrived." Emily turned toward the door. 4 men had stepped inside. They wore dark clothes that looked expensive, not flashy. Their expressions were alert, scanning the room with the same attention Emily had seen in Cops on TV, but there was something different in their stance. More dangerous, more sure. Behind them, the man in charge walked in. He did not have to say a word. Everyone in the diner felt it. He was tall, with broad shoulders under a fitted black shirt, sleeves rolled to his forearms. His hair was dark, his beard trimmed close, his features strong and controlled. His eyes moved slowly from table to table until they landed on the counter. He looked at Emily. She froze. Her heart skipped a beat, then pounded so fast she felt lightheaded. She had seen attractive men before. She had served men in suits, men with watches that cost more than her car. But no one had ever walked into that diner with that kind of quiet authority. He did not look angry. He did not look impatient. He simply looked at her as if he had come there for one reason, and he had just found it. One of the men leaned toward him and murmured something. The man nodded once but did not take his eyes off Emily. She swallowed hard and realized her hands were gripping the menu so tightly her knuckles were white. "Em," Kayla whispered, "I think you should breathe." Emily forced air into her lungs. She did not know his name. She did not know that the note in his pocket still carried a faint smell of rain. She had no idea that the scratched sedan was one of many cars he owned. She only knew that the owner had just walked in. And for the first time since she wrote that note, she had a terrifying thought. Maybe the scratch on the car was not the worst mistake she made last night. Maybe the worst mistake was giving a man like that her name. The diner felt too small for a man like him. Emily stood frozen, the menu slipping slightly in her trembling hand. Luca Zanetti walked toward the counter with slow, steady steps. His men remained by the door, scanning the room with cold precision. The closer he got, the clearer it became. He didn't come here for food. He came here for her. Emily's pulse hammered. She forced her lips into something that looked like a smile. Hello," she managed. "Would you like a table?" Luca stopped in front of her. He didn't sit. He didn't look around. His eyes stayed locked on hers, studying every detail of her face, as if comparing it to the girl in the rain from the footage. "You're Emily Parker," he said quietly. It wasn't a question. Her throat went dry. Yes." He slipped a hand into his pocket and pulled out the folded note. Emily's heart dropped to her shoes. When he unfolded it, she saw the smudged letters, the part where the ink had blurred from a raindrop. The note she had hoped he lost, or ignored. Luca placed it gently on the counter between them. "This is yours." Emily swallowed hard. I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to." "You scratched my car," he said, still calm, but with a weight that made the words press against her skin. "You left your name. Your number." His eyes narrowed slightly. "Not many people do that." "I didn't want to lie," she whispered. His gaze moved over her face, slow and deliberate, as if that answer said more about her than anything else could. "How much do you make here?" he asked. The question hit her like a slap. What? "Your job," he said plainly. "Your salary." Emily felt heat rush to her cheeks. "That's personal. It's relevant." "To what?" Luca leaned slightly forward, placing both hands on the counter. His presence felt close, too close. "The scratch is deep," he said. "The paint job alone costs more than 2 months of your income." Emily's stomach twisted. She already knew the damage was expensive, but hearing it out loud made the air around her shrink. "I can pay," she said quickly. "Not all at once, maybe in small payments. I just need time." A man at a nearby table whispered, "She's dead," and his friend elbowed him to shut up. Luca didn't look away from Emily. "I don't want your money," he said. Emily blinked, confused. "But I scratched your car." "Yes," he replied, "and I'll handle the repair." Her jaw fell. "Why? I mean, what do you want?" For the first time, a small, almost unreadable expression crossed his face. Not a smile, something softer but distant. "I want you to work for me." Emily stepped back. "Work? For you?" He nodded. "Part-time, flexible hours, simple tasks. You help me at certain events and private meetings. You'll be compensated, and I'll consider your debt handled." She stared at him, speechless. His expression didn't change. "You said in the note you don't lie. So I assume you also don't break promises." Emily's voice came out small. "You want me as your assistant?" "For now." "What kind of events?" "Business dinners. Private lounges in the clubs I own. Occasional meetings." He said it as if it were normal, as if she lived in the same world he did. Emily took a shaky breath. "Mr. Zanetti." "Luca," he corrected. "Luca. I don't think I belong in places like that." "It's not a request," he said. "It's a solution." Emily's hands tightened on the edge of the counter. "And if I say no?" His answer was immediate and brutally honest. "Then you pay the repair in cash." I can't." "I know." Their eyes met. Emily felt something unfamiliar in his gaze. Strength, yes. Danger, yes. But also a strange kind of patience. "Think of it this way," Luca said. "You work for me. I forgive the damage. No interest, no threats, no trouble." He lowered his voice. "It's the safest option you have." A chill ran through her spine. Safest. The word held a meaning she didn't fully understand yet. Before she could respond, a loud crash came from the kitchen. Marcus had dropped a metal tray after seeing Luca. He muttered a curse, picked it up, and glanced at Emily with worry etched all over his face. Kayla mouthed silently, "Say yes before he kills us all." Emily's heart raced as she turned back to Luca. "Okay," she whispered. "I'll work for you." Luca nodded once, as if he already expected the answer. "Good." He slid a sleek black card across the counter. "This is my driver. He'll pick you up tomorrow at 7. Harbor Street entrance." Emily picked up the card with trembling fingers. Luca straightened, stepping back. Before he turned to leave, he said quietly, "Next time you're afraid, don't run. Just look at me." She wasn't sure what that meant, but her legs were shaking. He walked out, his men following him without a single word. The diner finally exhaled when the door closed. Kayla rushed to Emily. "What was that?" Emily stared at the black card. "I think I just sold my soul." The next evening, 6:58 p.m., Emily stood in front of her apartment building, clutching a small bag. She'd spent the entire day panicking, second-guessing everything, and replaying the moment he looked into her eyes. Her stomach twisted when a black SUV pulled up to the curb. The driver stepped out. "Miss Parker?" "Yes," she said softly. "Follow me." Emily climbed inside, her heart racing as the SUV drove through the city. They passed high-end buildings, expensive restaurants, and private clubs with velvet ropes and security guards. This wasn't her world. The SUV stopped in front of Club Zanetti, a towering building with mirrored windows and a guarded entrance. The lights outside were a deep, elegant gold. People in designer clothes lined up, but the guards opened the door without question as soon as they saw the SUV. Emily was led through a private entrance, past a long hallway with dark marble floors and dim lighting. Everything smelled like expensive cologne and polished wood. Her palms were sweating. The driver guided her to an elevator and pressed the top floor. When the doors opened, the lights were warmer, softer. A private lounge stretched out before her. Leather couches, a bar with glass shelves, a huge window overlooking the city, and Luca Zanetti standing near the bar, sleeves rolled, pouring himself a glass of water. He looked up. Emily. Her breath caught. He walked toward her slowly, one hand in his pocket, the other holding the glass. His eyes scanned her clothes, simple black pants and a modest blouse. "You look nervous," he said. "I am," she admitted. "Good. Nervous means careful." She didn't know how to respond. Luca motioned for her to follow him. "Tonight is a dinner meeting. Small, private. You'll serve drinks, take notes if needed, and stay near me. You don't speak unless spoken to. You don't step away without telling me. Understood?" Emily nodded quickly. "Yes." He stopped walking and turned to her fully, the city lights reflected in his eyes. "One more thing," he said quietly. "No one here touches you. If anyone tries, you come straight to me." Her breath hitched at the intensity in his voice. Okay." A knock sounded at the door. Luca didn't look away from her. "It begins." The door opened, and 3 men entered, all older, all powerful, all clearly involved in business she shouldn't hear. As they greeted Luca, Emily stepped aside, keeping her eyes lowered. But she felt it, Luca's gaze drifting back to her, again and again, as if checking she was still there. As if she mattered. Near the end of the meeting, one of the men leaned close to Luca and whispered something that made his jaw tighten. Emily saw a flash of something in Luca's eyes she hadn't seen before. Danger. Real danger. Luca said nothing. He stood slowly, buttoning his shirt cuffs. The meeting ended abruptly. He walked to Emily, voice low. "We're leaving." "Why? Did I do something wrong?" "No," he said, "but someone knows you're working for me." Her blood ran cold. "Who?" Luca didn't blink. "Someone who shouldn't." Emily's breath caught. "What does that mean?" "It means," Luca said quietly, "your life just changed again." His tone told her something else. This time, the change wasn't her choice. The air inside the club elevator felt different tonight. Emily stood beside Luca, her back straight, heart pounding, trying not to let her fear show. The meeting had ended abruptly, and Luca hadn't spoken a single unnecessary word since he dismissed the guests. His expression was unreadable, sharper than usual. She finally found the courage to speak. "What did you mean when you said someone knows about me?" Luca didn't turn his head. "Exactly that. That doesn't explain anything," she whispered. He exhaled once, quietly. "Emily, in my world, attention can be more dangerous than bullets. Someone mentioned your name on a call. That's enough." Before she could press for details, the elevator doors opened. 2 of Luca's men were waiting in the hallway, alert, hands behind their backs, stance rigid. Vince Hale stepped forward. "Boss, we intercepted the call. It wasn't subtle." Luca's voice turned colder. "Who?" Vince glanced at Emily, then back at Luca. "Adrian Cole." Emily winced, even though she didn't know the name. She could tell, instantly, that it wasn't someone you wanted asking questions about you. "What did he say?" Luca asked. "He asked why you suddenly care about a waitress," Vince said. "Why she was at the club. Why she was in your office. He wants details." Emily's stomach twisted. Why would he care about me? I'm nobody. Luca finally turned to her. His eyes were steady but tense. "Adrian doesn't care about who you are. He cares about who you're connected to." "Connected?" Emily repeated. "To you?" "Yes," Luca said simply. "You've known me for 2 days," she said. "How can I be connected to you?" "You scratched my car," he answered. "You walked into my world. And Adrian wants anything he thinks might hurt me." Hurt him? Because of her. That thought made her breath catch. "So what happens now?" she asked. Luca looked at Vince. "She doesn't walk alone. Not for 1 minute. If I'm not with her, you are." Emily blinked. "That's extreme." "That's survival," Luca corrected. She could feel her pulse in her throat. "Tomorrow," Luca added, "we talk about where she's moving." "Moving?" she echoed. I didn't agree to that. You will, he said. Her chest tightened. You can't control my life. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't step closer. He just looked at her with that calm, intimidating certainty. I'm not controlling your life, Emily, he said. I'm trying to keep you alive. That shut her up. After a moment, Luca nodded to Vince. Take her home. Make sure she gets inside. Don't leave until she locks the door. Emily felt like the floor dropped under her. You're not coming? She asked softly. Not tonight, Luca said. His eyes softened just enough for her to notice. But you'll see me tomorrow. Vince drove her home in silence at first. The SUV felt too smooth, too expensive, compared to everything in her world. You still breathing back there? Vince asked finally. Barely, Emily muttered. Vince cracked a faint grin at her honesty. You handled it better than most people would. I don't feel like I handled anything, she said. You didn't run, Vince replied. Most people in your position would have run. I didn't have a choice, she said. You always have a choice, Vince said. You chose to stay. That's why the boss noticed you. Emily looked out the window at the passing streetlights. Why does Adrian hate him so much? Rivals, Vince said. Territory, control, old problems, new ones. Adrian wants to take everything Luca has, starting with the small things. I'm a small thing? She asked quietly. No, Vince said. You're a crack in his armor, and Adrian loves tearing people apart through the cracks. Her fingers tightened around her purse. That's not comforting. It's not meant to be, Vince said. It's meant to make you listen. If Luca says stay close, you stay close. When they reached her building, Vince scanned the street before letting her out. Inside. Now, he said. Emily hurried up the stairs, unlocked her door, closed it, locked the deadbolt, then the chain. She texted him. Emily, inside, locked. Vince, good, bed. Tomorrow will be a long day. Emily didn't sleep much. Every sound outside made her jump. She hated feeling this weak. She hated that danger had her name. She hated that part of her felt safer with Luca than in her own home. The next morning at the diner, she tried to act normal, but she couldn't stop checking the windows. Marcus noticed. You good? He asked. No, she admitted, but I'm pretending. Sometimes that's enough, Marcus said. Kayla approached, biting her lip. Is Mafia man ruining your life already? Emily glared. Kayla, please. Sorry, Kayla said, lowering her voice, but I'm worried about you. Emily opened her mouth to respond, but the bell above the door rang. A man walked in. Not Luca. Not Vince. Someone else. He had an easy smile, hands in his pockets, hair styled like he cared too much. Jacket too clean for this neighborhood. He scanned the diner, saw her, and smiled like he had been waiting for that moment. He sat at the counter. Emily Parker, he said warmly. She stiffened. Do I know you? No, but I've heard about you. Her stomach dropped. I'm Adrian, he added casually. The name hit harder than she expected. She nodded, trying not to show fear. What can I get you? Coffee, he said, and a conversation. She poured him a cup, hands shaking only slightly. You work for Luca? Adrian asked. No, I work here. He chuckled. Cute lie. She swallowed. If you know who he is, then you know I shouldn't be talking to you. I know exactly who he is, Adrian said. And that's why I'm here. He leaned his elbow on the counter, watching her carefully. Does he treat you well? Emily blinked. What? Does he frighten you? Adrian continued. Or do you like the way he protects you? Does he make you feel special? Important? I don't understand what you're trying to do. I'm trying to see how honest you are, Adrian said. Because Luca, he doesn't bring people close. Especially not girls who scratch his car. Emily felt heat rush to her face. This is inappropriate. This is information, Adrian said. And information keeps people alive. He slid a 20 across the counter. Tell Luca I said hello. She swallowed. I don't talk to him like that. You will, Adrian said with a quiet smile, because soon he'll have to explain a lot of things to you. She stared at him. Are you threatening me? No, Adrian said. I'm warning you. Luca isn't the man you think he is. He stood and walked to the door. Just before leaving, he turned back. His smile faded. And Emily, he added softly, if he keeps you this close, you're going to get hurt, one way or another. The bell chimed as he left. Kayla rushed over. Who the hell was that? Emily whispered. Adrian. Kayla blanched. Jesus, you need to call Luca. I know, Emily said, but she didn't need to, because by the time her shift ended, a black car was already waiting across the street. The back door opened before she reached it. Luca. His expression was not calm. Get in, he said. She obeyed. The moment the door shut, silence filled the car like a wall. You spoke to Adrian, Luca said. She nodded. He came to the diner. What did he say? Luca asked, voice low. She told him everything, the questions, the comments, the warning in his eyes. Luca leaned back, jaw tightening. He's testing limits. Emily's voice shook. He knows my name. He said he's interested. He's interested in hurting me, Luca corrected. And he thinks you're the way to do it. Emily looked at him. So what now? You're not staying in your apartment, Luca said. You're moving tonight. She swallowed. To where? My penthouse, he said. It's the safest place. Her heart pounded. Why? Because Adrian won't attack you when you're with me, he said. He'd be dead before he reached the elevator. Emily exhaled shakily. And you want me there? Luca hesitated. Just a second, but enough to matter. Yes, he said. Her chest tightened. Do you trust me? He asked. She looked at him, at his steadiness, his presence, the way he'd shown up the second Adrian walked into her world. Yes, she whispered. I do. Luca lowered his voice. Then pack your things, he said. You're coming home with me. Emily's breath caught. His home, his world, his protection, and she wasn't ready for how much she wanted to say yes. Emily had never seen the city from so high. The elevator doors opened, and she stepped into Luca's penthouse. Wide windows, polished floors, quiet rooms that echoed when she breathed. Everything looked expensive, cold, and too perfect. Luca watched her carefully as she walked inside. You'll stay in the guest room, he said, pointing down the hallway. It locks from the inside. No one comes up here except my men and the housekeeper. You'll be safe. Safe. The word meant something different now. Emily placed her small duffel bag on the floor. It looked ridiculous in a place like this. Luca approached, stopping a few steps away, giving her space. You can relax, he said. She shook her head. I don't know how to relax anymore. He studied her expression. You will. Emily walked toward the windows, hugging her arms around her chest. The city stretched below them, lights twinkling like a carpet. This doesn't feel real, she whispered. It will, Luca said. People get used to anything. She turned to him. Do you want me to get used to this? His jaw tightened slightly. I want you to stay alive. Emily nodded, even though her heartbeat was chaotic. She looked around again, searching for something normal, anything human. You live here alone? She asked. He nodded. Most nights, yes. The others stay on lower floors. And, what do you want me to do here? Nothing, he replied. Rest. Stay put. Don't open the door for anyone but me. That's it? For now. She exhaled. It feels like I'm being locked away. His expression changed, just a little. You're not locked away. You're protected. That's the same thing sometimes. He stepped closer, too close. His voice dropped slightly. Emily, you're not here as a prisoner. You're here because Adrian saw something he wants to use. I'm not giving him the chance. She swallowed. Does Adrian do that often? He does whatever gives him the most power. Emily looked into his eyes, afraid of what she might see. But behind the coldness, She saw something she didn't expect, frustration and fear. Fear for her. "Okay," she said softly. "I'll stay." Luca gave a short nod. "Good." Later that night, Emily stepped out of the guest room wearing leggings and a simple t-shirt. She needed water. She needed air. She needed anything to ground herself. She found Luca in the kitchen, sleeves rolled up, leaning against the counter while drinking a glass of water. He wasn't pretending to be intimidating now. He looked tired, human. When he saw her, his eyes softened. "Everything okay?" he asked. Yeah, just thirsty." He motioned toward the glasses. Emily walked to the cabinet, opened it, and almost dropped a cup from nerves. Luca noticed. "You're shaking." "I didn't expect to have a Mafia boss looking at me while I drink water," she tried to joke. He didn't smile, but something in his expression warmed. "You don't have to be scared of me." "I'm not scared of you," she said quietly. "I'm scared of everything else." Luca set his glass aside. "If you stay close, nothing happens to you. I promise that." Emily bit her lip. "People break promises." "I don't," he said. Their eyes locked. Silence stretched, thicker than before. Her heart thudded hard, too loud, too fast. She broke eye contact and stepped back. "I'm going to sit for a minute," she murmured. Luca followed her into the living room, sitting in the armchair across from the couch. He rested an elbow on the armrest, eyes never leaving her. "Tell me what Adrian said," he requested. Emily repeated the conversation slowly, every detail, every look, every word about her being worth taking. Luca's jaw flexed. His hand curled around the armrest. "That won't happen," he said. "You sound so sure." "I am sure." She swallowed. "Why does he hate you so much?" Luca paused, choosing his answer carefully. "We grew up in the same world. Different rules, different loyalties, different lines we were willing to cross." He looked at her. "He crossed every line." "And you didn't?" There was a very long silence. "Not everyone," he said. That should have scared her. Instead, she felt something settle inside her. A strange certainty that he was dangerous, but not to her. "Emily," he said quietly, "Adrian will come again. He wants a reaction. Don't give him information. Don't give him fear. And don't be alone." She nodded. "Good," he said. Another silence. A different one. A heavy one. Emily drew her knees up, suddenly aware of how quiet it was, how close he was watching her, how her pulse sped up every time he blinked. "I'm not used to someone caring what happens to me," she said without thinking. Luca's brows lowered slightly. "Who didn't care?" She hesitated. "Most people. My father was a good man, but he had problems, debt, stress. He tried, but life got ahead of him." She looked down. "It's easier when people don't expect anything from you." "I expect honesty," Luca said. "That's all?" He nodded once. "That's enough." Emily looked up. His eyes held hers, intense and unreadable, but not cruel. There was a kind of pull there, silent, heavy, magnetic. She felt her pulse in her throat. She looked away quickly, but Luca didn't. Later, nearing midnight, Emily was sitting on the couch flipping through channels when she heard Luca return from a phone call. He walked behind her, heading to his office. "Everything okay?" she asked. He paused. "Adrian wants attention. He won't get it." "Did he do something?" "Not yet," Luca said, "but he's circling." She hugged a pillow. "And me being here helps?" "It keeps you alive," Luca answered. She looked down. "I don't like being weak." "You're not weak," he said. "You're unprotected. That's different." She didn't respond. She didn't have to. Luca walked around the couch and sat beside her, close enough that she could feel the warmth of him. He wasn't touching her, but the space between them was small, intentional. He studied her face. "You're still scared." She nodded. His hand reached out, slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. He brushed a strand of hair from her cheek and tucked it behind her ear. His touch was firm, but careful. Emily's breath caught. "You don't have to be afraid when you're with me," he said, voice lower now. Not ever. Her heart raced so fast she thought he might hear it. Her gaze dropped to his mouth for half a second before she caught herself. Luca noticed. He moved closer, just an inch, but it felt like more. Her lips parted, his eyes lowered only slightly to her mouth. The air between them tightened. Then his phone rang. Luca froze. Emily blinked, breaking the spell. He pulled back slowly, jaw tightening in frustration before he stood and answered. What? He snapped into the phone. Emily watched his expression change. Cold, sharp, dangerous. Who? He demanded. A beat of silence. Where? He hung up hard and turned to her. Emily, get your shoes. She stood up immediately. What happened? Adrian's men were seen near your street, Luca said. Scouting, asking questions. Emily felt her knees wobble. They were looking for you. Her breath caught. Why? Because Adrian thinks he can reach you. Luca moved toward her, his presence protective in a way that made her chest ache. But he won't. Her voice was barely a whisper. Are we leaving? For tonight, yes. He reached for her arm gently but firmly. You stay close to me, no matter what. She nodded, heart hammering. Okay. He held her eyes. Emily, he said quietly, Adrian is not testing anymore. He's coming. The fear inside her was instant and real. And Luca's next words hit harder than any threat. You're not leaving my side until I say it's safe. Emily did not sleep. She lay on the guest bed, staring at the ceiling, feeling every second. Luca's words echoed in her mind. Adrian is not testing anymore. He's coming. You're not leaving my side until I say it's safe. The room was beautiful, but it felt like a pressure chamber. Her phone lay on the nightstand. No notifications, no normal life. Just silence. Around 3 a.m, she gave up on sleep and sat up. Voices drifted faintly from down the hall. Male voices. Heavy, low, serious. She slid out of bed and opened the door a crack. Luca's office door was slightly open. She moved quietly down the hall, feet light on the floor. She stopped just before the doorway, heart pounding, and listened. Vince's voice came first. He's obsessed already. He walked into her diner in public. That's desperate. Another voice answered, one of Luca's other men. So we use it. Let him come for her. We stack the deck, take him out when he reaches. Emily's heart jumped. Luca's voice came next, calm but harder than usual. Adrian wants an opening. She is that opening. Her fingers tightened on the wall. So let him think he has it, the other man said. We keep her under watch. Let him move and finish this. Vince snorted. She's not going to like being bait. Emily felt the word hit her like a hit to the chest. Bait. Luca answered. She doesn't need to know details. She just needs to stay where I put her. Stay where I put her. The sentence slid under her skin. Cold, sharp, heavy, her throat closed. Her mind stopped hearing the rest. The men kept talking about positioning, cameras, how to track Adrian's crew, but Emily's ears rang over every word. In that moment, all she could hear was, she is that opening. She doesn't need to know. Stay where I put her. She backed away from the door, breath shaking, chest tight. She hurried down the hall, into the guest room, and shut the door quietly. Her legs felt weak. He was not just protecting her, he was planning to use her. By morning, Emily's fear had changed shape. It wasn't just fear of Adrian anymore. It was fear of Luca, too. He knocked on her door around 9. Emily. She swallowed and opened it. He stood there in a dark shirt, sleeves rolled, hair still damp from a shower. The sight of him still affected her, even now that her chest was full of doubt. You didn't sleep, he said. She shrugged. Hard to relax when someone wants to kidnap you. His eyes softened a little. I ordered breakfast. Come eat. She followed him to the kitchen. There was food on the table. Eggs, toast, fruit, coffee. Too much for 2 people. He pulled out a chair for her. She sat, but her appetite was gone. You need energy, he said. Your body does not care about your anxiety. It needs food. She took a piece of toast and picked at the edge. He watched her closely. Any messages from Adrian? He asked. She shook her head. No. Good. He took his phone from the counter, checking something. We picked up movement near your old building again. He's looking for you. She stared at the table. And what's your plan? His eyes lifted to hers. My plan is to remove him. She almost asked how. Then she remembered what she'd heard. Let him come for her. We use it. She is that opening. And what about your plan with me? She asked. What do you mean? He asked. She put the toast down. Last night, in your office. He went very still. You were listening. Yes, she said. You said he wants an opening, and I am that opening. You said I don't need to know details, that I just need to stay where you put me. His jaw tightened, but he didn't look away. You took that out of context, he said. How many contexts are there? She shot back. Where using a woman as bait is fine. His eyes hardened. I never said bait. You didn't need to, she said. I heard enough. She stood from the chair, hands shaking. I get it now, she continued. I'm not just some random girl you're protecting. I'm a tool, a way to draw him out. I'm a piece on a board to win your war. That's not what this is, he said. That's exactly what this is, she snapped. You decided where I live, who drives me, when I can leave, and now you're using his interest in me to set a trap. I'm the trap. His voice dropped. Adrian will come whether we plan around it or not. The difference is whether we catch him clean or let him keep attacking from the shadows. So my safety is just part of the equation? She asked. His eyes flashed. Your safety is the reason for the equation. Then why couldn't you tell me? She demanded. Why talk about me like I'm an object? Something you place, something you use. Something in his face shifted. He looked torn for a second, then he shut it down. Because if you know every detail, Lucas said, you'll think you can make choices. You'll try to sacrifice yourself. You'll decide you know better than the people who handle this for a living. So you do want control, she said bitterly. Over me, over how I feel, over what I know. I want you alive, he snapped. You think I enjoy any of this? You think I like that he said your name? I do not. But I am dealing with reality, not with feelings. Her chest hurt. My feelings are reality too. For a second, silence stretched between them. A long, harsh silence. Would you rather I let him roam free? He asked. Follow you. Watch you. Wait outside this building? You want that? I want a choice, she said quietly. I want to know if I'm standing next to you because you care about me, or because I make your plan easier. He held her gaze. His eyes were dark, intense, full of things she couldn't separate. Both, he said at last. The answer cut deeper than if he had lied. She stepped back. Thank you for the honesty. Emily, I can't stay here, she said. Not like this. Not without trusting your reasons. I can't breathe in this place anymore. His expression changed, real alarm breaking through. You're safer here than anywhere else, he said. Leaving is not an option. It's my life, she answered. You don't own it. I own the problem that follows you now, he shot back. You think Adrian will stop if you walk away from me? He will not. He will blame you for my reaction. He will chase you harder. Then maybe I will disappear, she said. Leave the city. Go somewhere he doesn't care about. His voice hardened. You won't make it far enough. He has people everywhere. So do I. This is not a bus ticket problem. Her eyes burned. She hated that he sounded right. She hated that he had a point. She hated that his point felt like a cage. I need space, she whispered. He stepped toward her. There is no space in this situation. There is close to me, and there is dead. The words were harsh, final, too final. Tears stung her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. Then I guess we see which one I end up being, she whispered. She turned away before he could answer and walked down the hall fast into the guest room, closing the door behind her. He didn't follow. Emily threw clothes into her bag with shaking hands. She knew it was reckless. She knew it was stupid. She knew every word he'd said about danger was real. But every second in that penthouse now felt wrong. She couldn't stay with a man who saw her as part of a strategy. Even if he also cared. Even if he had almost kissed her. Even if he made her feel protected in a way no one ever had. She needed air. She needed her life back, even if it was small and messy and dangerous. She grabbed her phone. No messages. She found Kayla's contact and typed fast. If I disappear for a few days, don't freak out. I'll explain later. Just be careful at work. Don't talk to strangers about me. She hesitated, then deleted the first line. She didn't want anyone dragged into this. She zipped the bag, slung it over her shoulder, and opened the window instead of the bedroom door. The penthouse had a small exterior ledge that led toward the emergency stairwell at the side. Irrational, unsafe. But Luca's men watched the hallways and elevators, not windows. She climbed out carefully, heart pounding so loud it hurt. Cold air hit her face. The ledge was wide enough to walk on, but not comfortably. She forced her body forward step by step, gripping the wall. After a short distance, she reached the side access to the emergency stairs. The metal door was heavy, but not locked from the inside. She slipped in, breathing fast. Down, down, down. Her legs shook as she descended all those flights. By the time she reached the ground floor, her lungs burned. A side exit door led to an alley. She pushed it open and stepped out. For a few seconds, nothing happened. The city moved normally. Cars, noise, distant horns. She pulled her hood up, kept her head low, and walked fast toward the main street. She had some cash. She could get a bus to another part of the city, maybe crash at a cheap motel for a night. Think, plan. Her fear followed every step. When she reached a corner, a black car slowed beside her. Her body froze. The window rolled down. "Wrong direction, sweetheart," a man said. She turned. Adrian's driver. She took a step back. "Leave me alone." The rear door opened. Adrian stepped out. He smiled like this was a pleasant surprise. "Emily," he said, "you're hard to reach when Zanetti locks you in his tower." She swallowed. "I'm not with him now." "So I see." His eyes scanned the street, then returned to her. That was not smart. "I'm done being told what to do," she said, trying to sound stronger than she felt. Adrian's smile widened. "No, you're not. You're just switching who does the telling." She turned to walk away. He grabbed her arm, fast, firm, fingers digging into her skin. She gasped. "Let go." "Relax," he said. "I just want to talk. You owe me that much." "I don't owe you anything," she snapped. His eyes hardened. "You owe me a chance to fix what he's done." Before she could respond, a van pulled up on the other side. Two men stepped out, big, silent, no hesitation. Her heart dropped. "Adrian, don't." His grip tightened. "If you had stayed where he put you, this would take longer. But you walked yourself right into my hands. That saves time." Fear crashed through her. She tried to pull away. One of the men caught her from behind, arm locking around her, hand covering her mouth as she tried to scream. Adrian stepped closer, voice low near her ear. "Luca thinks he can use you to win," he said. "He forgot I can play the same game." She fought, nails digging into skin, kicks wild and desperate. The men lifted her like she weighed nothing and forced her toward the van. The last thing she saw before they shoved her inside was the sky above the buildings, then darkness. A bag covered her head. Rough hands tied her wrists. The van door slammed. The engine roared. Her heart pounded so hard she thought her ribs might crack. She tried to scream, but the sound came out muffled against the fabric and the hand over her mouth. She had wanted to make her own choice. Now Adrian had made it for her. Luca did not realize she was gone right away. He stood alone in the kitchen, staring at the empty doorway where she had walked away from him. Her last words replayed in his mind. "I want to know if I'm standing next to you because you care, or because I make your plan easier? Both. He swore under his breath. He gave her 30 minutes to calm down, to think, to knock on his door and yell at him again. He was ready for that. He preferred her anger to her silence. 30 minutes passed, then 45. The quiet in the penthouse shifted from normal to wrong. He walked down the hall and knocked on her door. Emily. No answer. Emily, he repeated, voice firmer. Open the door. Nothing. He tried the handle. The room was empty. The bag was gone. The window was open. A sharp, cold wave ran through him. He crossed the room in 3 long strides and leaned out the window, the ledge, the side of the building. He understood instantly. She climbed out, he said, voice grim. Vince burst into the room a minute later. What happened? She left, Luca said. She went down the emergency stairs. Vince swore. We'll check the cameras. They reviewed the footage in the security room. There she was, small, fast, moving down the stairwell alone, leaving through the alley exit, turning right. Then another camera, a van, a man stepping out, Adrian's driver. Luca's chest tightened, his hands curled into fists. Pull the street audio, he ordered. The techs tried, but there was too much noise, no clear words, just the sight of Adrian stepping out, smiling, grabbing her arm. Then the van, then the door closing, then nothing. Vince looked at Luca. He has her. Luca's jaw worked. For a second his control cracked. His fist slammed into the metal console so hard the tech flinched. This is on me, he said, voice low and lethal. I pushed her. I didn't tell her enough. I made her feel like a pawn. Vince didn't argue. Luca straightened, face hardening into something worse than anger. Find the van, he said. Every camera, every intersection. I want to know where he took her. And when we do? Vince asked. Luca's eyes were ice. Then, he said, we take her back. He turned and strode out of the room, already making calls. His voice was steady, but his steps were sharper, faster. Adrian had taken a piece of his world. He was going to get it back, no matter what it cost. Emily felt every turn of the van in her body. The bag over her head smelled like dust and oil. Her wrists burned from the rope. Her shoulders ached from how they had thrown her. She could hear male voices, muted, calm, talking about directions and streets. No one sounded nervous. They drove for a long time. City sounds faded, replaced by rougher road, fewer cars. When the van finally stopped, her heart stopped with it. The door slid open. Hands grabbed her again, pulling her out. Gravel crunched under their boots. The air smelled different. Old wood. Oil. Something burnt. The bag was yanked off her head. Blinking in the harsh light, Emily saw a large warehouse, mostly empty, with metal beams and broken windows. Men stood near the walls, armed, and Adrian, standing in the center, hands in his pockets, smile lazy. Welcome, he said. Now we can talk properly. Emily glared at him, chest heaving. You're insane. Maybe, he said, but I'm honest about it. He motioned for the men to untie her wrists. They did, but stayed close. She rubbed her skin, feeling the sore marks. You ran from him, Adrian said. That means you're smarter than I thought. I didn't run to you, she snapped. He shrugged. You didn't have to. He let you walk out. That's his mistake. I'm just correcting it. You won't get away with this, she said. Adrian's eyes gleamed. You really think that? You really think he's untouchable? She held his stare. He's coming for me. I hope so, Adrian said softly. That is the point. Her stomach dropped. You took me to draw him out, she said. Yes, he answered easily. Just like he was planning to let me try for you under his rules. Difference is, I was faster. Her chest tightened. You're using me too. You're a pressure point, Adrian said. The difference between us is that I admit it. He walked closer, his voice lower now. Did he tell you the rest? Adrian asked. Or did he only tell you what makes him look good? I don't want your version, she said. I don't trust you. That's smart, he said. But you deserve the full story. She shook her head. I don't care about your mafia drama. You should, he said, because your father was part of it. Her body went cold. No, he wasn't. Debts, Adrian said. Bad choices. Men with orders, your building, your door, your family. She swallowed. You're lying. Ask Luca, Adrian said. Ask him what he did or didn't do when his men went to collect from a man named Parker. His eyes sharpened. Ask him why he remembers you. Ask him why he stared at that camera footage like he'd seen a ghost. Emily's heart pounded. She had never told Adrian her last name. He knew it. Why are you telling me this? She asked. Because I want you to look at him differently when he walks in here, Adrian said. I want you to see all of him, not just the version who poured you coffee and offered you a room. And what do you want from me? She whispered. He smiled. I want you to hurt when he does, Adrian said. That's how you break men like him. He stepped back, nodding to his men. Put her in the office. No one touches her, not unless I say so. I'm not done yet. Two men grabbed her arms and pulled her toward a small side room with a metal door and barred window. They shoved her inside and closed the door. The lock clicked. Emily slid down the wall, breathing fast, head spinning. Luca had a history with her family. Adrian knew it. Luca had planned to use her to smoke Adrian out. Adrian had beaten him at his own game. She wrapped her arms around herself and shut her eyes. Somewhere out there, Luca was watching cameras, tracking roads, making calls. She did not know if he was coming for her because he cared or because he had to. All she knew was that Adrian was right about one thing. When Luca walked through that door, nothing between them would be the same. Luca didn't remember leaving the building. One moment he was staring at the gray monitor replaying Emily being shoved into Adrian's van. The next, he was in his car, punching the dashboard hard enough to split the skin on his knuckles. Track the van, he ordered. Every camera, every intersection. I want the route 5 minutes ago. Vince nodded sharply. On it. Luca wiped the blood from his hand and grabbed his phone. Rico, he snapped. Get the team ready. Guns, vests, cars. We're going in heavy. He didn't wait for an answer. He called another contact. I need intel on abandoned buildings Adrian owns or uses. Now. His voice had no hesitation, no fear, only cold precision. But beneath the surface, a different force pushed him forward. He had let Emily walk away. He had let her believe he didn't care. He had failed to tell her the truth, and Adrian had taken her. He wouldn't survive losing her. The van was traced to the industrial outskirts of the city. Old warehouses, few streetlights, no civilians. A perfect hunting ground. Luca's convoy arrived in silence. 3 black SUVs, men fully armed. Vince stepped beside Luca and handed him a gun. You sure about going in first? Vince asked. She's inside, Luca said. Nothing keeps me outside. They approached the building from the side, keeping low. Luca signaled for 2 men to cover the back, 2 to watch the roof, and 3 to guard the cars. He moved toward the main entrance. A metal door, locked. He nodded once. Rico kicked it open. The sound echoed, sharp and violent. Inside, the warehouse was dim, lit by a few overhead lamps that flickered. Luca moved silently, his steps slow, gun raised. A voice came from deeper inside. Well, well, you took longer than I expected. Adrian stepped out from behind a concrete pillar, hands loose at his sides, expression smug. Several armed men appeared behind him. Luca didn't look at them. His eyes locked on Adrian. Where is she? Adrian clicked his tongue. Straight to the point. No hello? No talk? Where? Luca repeated. Is Emily? Adrian grinned. Safe, for now. Luca's jaw clenched. Bring her out. Or what? Adrian asked. You'll shoot me? He spread his arms. Do it. Kill me. But if you kill me now, you never learn what she knows. What did you tell her? Luca asked quietly. Adrian's eyes gleamed. The truth. Something you should have done years ago. Vince stepped closer. Boss, don't let him stall. Adrian raised a finger. You remember Parker, right? His smile widened. The man with the debt. The man who almost lost everything. Luca's body went still. He remembered. He had been younger, new to leadership. The order had come from the higher ranks before he took control. A debt collection meant to end in blood. Luca had stepped in and stopped it. He hadn't known the debtor had a daughter watching from behind the door, a girl with scared brown eyes. Emily. You remember, Adrian whispered. She doesn't. Luca tightened his grip on the gun. Where is she? Adrian tilted his head. Bring her, he ordered one of his men. A door opened on the side of the warehouse. Emily was shoved out, wrists red from ropes, hair messy, eyes wide with terror. She stumbled, catching herself before hitting the floor. Luca's heart slammed inside his chest. She was alive. That was enough to keep him breathing. Emily. His voice was low but steady. Come here. But Adrian grabbed her arm and held her in front of him. Not so fast. Adrian smirked. She wants to know the truth, so why don't you tell her? Emily's eyes flicked to Luca. Her voice trembled. Is it true? Did your men come to my house? Did you know my dad? Luca swallowed hard. Yes, but not the way he told you. Adrian laughed. Oh, please, don't ruin it. Let me tell her. Emily stiffened. You see, sweetheart, Adrian said softly, Luca here was part of the group that went to collect your father's debt. They showed up at your home. You saw them. You saw the guns. You saw the threats. Emily gasped, memories flashing. Her father shielding her, men shouting, a hand slamming against the wall. I was a kid, she whispered. I remember someone yelling. I remember being scared. And who do you think gave the order? Adrian asked, smiling viciously. Him. Luca stepped forward. I didn't give the order. Adrian kept going. He claims he saved you, but he still showed up. He still watched. He still let you grow up with fear in your chest. Emily's eyes filled with tears. Luca, tell me the truth. Luca took a slow breath, gun still pointed at Adrian. I stopped them, he said. It wasn't my order. I arrived late. They were about to hurt your father. I told them to stand down, to leave. But you were there, Emily whispered. Yes, Luca said quietly. And I never forgot your face. Her breath caught. Adrian leaned closer to her ear. A man like him doesn't change. He wants to own the things he protects. Luca's body tensed. Let her go. Adrian smirked. Make me. And everything exploded at once. Adrian shoved Emily forward. Two men aimed their guns. Luca grabbed Emily around the waist and pulled her down behind a crate as bullets flew across the warehouse. Emily, stay down, he ordered. His body shielded hers completely. Gunshots thundered. Luca shot back, hitting one man in the shoulder. Vince ran forward, firing. Two more of Adrian's men fell. Adrian ducked behind a pillar, laughing. Look how fast you crumble when she screams. Emily trembled under Luca's arm, breath shaking. Are you hurt? Luca asked, checking her quickly. No, she managed. Are you? Not yet. Another volley of bullets rang out. Luca pulled her with him, moving behind a larger crate. He returned fire, hitting another man. Adrian bolted toward a side exit. Luca rose to chase him, but Emily screamed. One of Adrian's men lunged from behind a stack of pallets, grabbing her and dragging her backward. She kicked, clawed, fought, but he held her tightly, a gun pressed to her ribs. Boss, Vince shouted. Behind you. Luca spun just as the man pulled Emily closer, using her as a shield. Drop the gun or I shoot her, the man hissed. Emily cried out, struggling harder. Luca. Time slowed. Luca didn't hesitate. He stepped forward. Shoot me, he said. Let her go. The man blinked, confused. What? Let her go. Luca's voice was deadly low. You fire that gun anywhere near her, and I will make sure you never see daylight again. Vince raised his gun. Boss. Luca lifted a hand to stop him. Emily shook her head desperately. Luca, stop. Don't. The man tightened his grip. Drop it or she dies. And then, it happened too fast to process. A flash, a thunderous crack, a burning sting. Emily screamed Luca's name as the bullet tore into his side. He stumbled back, hand flying to the wound, blood already soaking his shirt. "No!" Emily cried. Luca gritted his teeth, eyes blazing through the pain, and shot the man holding her twice, clean, precise, lethal. Emily ran to him immediately, catching his arm as he staggered. "Luca! Oh God, Luca!" "I'm fine," he breathed, voice strained. He wasn't. Blood ran down his fingers. His breathing was tight, but he cupped her cheek with his other hand. "Are you hurt?" he asked, voice shaking. "No," she sobbed. "But you—" "Good." He exhaled in relief. "Good." Adrian's voice echoed across the warehouse. "So predictable," he taunted. "You'd take a bullet for her? For a waitress? A girl who didn't even trust you enough to stay?" Emily pressed her hand to Luca's wound, desperate to stop the bleeding. Tears blurred her vision. "Don't listen to him," she whispered. "I'm not," Luca said. "I'm listening to you." He brushed her cheek with his thumb, leaving a smear of blood on her skin. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I never wanted you to hear things the wrong way. I should have told you everything." "Luca, please stay awake," she begged. He forced a weak smile. "I'm not going anywhere." Adrian fired another shot from the far end. Vince returned fire, forcing him to retreat toward the exit. Luca tried to stand. Emily grabbed him. "You can't." He forced himself up anyway, leaning on her. "I'm getting you out," he said, voice raw. "Luca, we're leaving," he insisted. "I'm not letting him touch you again." They moved slowly, painfully. Vince covered them, shooting down the last of Adrian's men. Adrian's footsteps echoed as he fled through a side door. "We'll get him," Vince said. "But we need to get the boss out first." Luca's legs weakened. Emily tightened her grip, tears streaking down her face. "Don't you dare pass out," she begged. "Don't you dare." He looked at her, really looked at her. "Emily." His voice was hoarse. "If I don't make it—" "No," she said fiercely. "Don't say that." "I have to," he whispered. "You deserve to hear it." Her heart pounded painfully. "What?" she whispered. "I love you." The words came out broken, raw, real. Emily froze, then shook her head violently. "No, you're not dying after telling me that." He huffed a weak laugh that turned into a grimace. "Boss," Vince urged, "we need to move." Emily pressed her forehead to Luca's for a split second, her voice trembling. "I love you too," she whispered. Luca's eyes closed briefly, not from weakness, but from relief. "Then I'm not dying," he murmured. "Not until I give you more than a war zone confession." He leaned heavily on her as they moved toward the exit. The cold night air hit them like a wave. Vince shouted for the medic team. Men rushed forward. Emily refused to let go of Luca's hand. He looked at her again, breathing hard, blood soaking through his shirt. "Stay with me," she begged. His grip tightened. "I'm not leaving you," Luca whispered. "Not now. Not ever." His knees buckled. The medics caught him. Emily's scream tore through the night. "Luca!" His eyes closed. The medics worked fast, lifting him onto a stretcher. Emily fell to her knees, shaking, watching the man who had taken a bullet for her being carried away. Vince knelt beside her. "We'll save him," he said, "but you need to come with us now." Emily wiped her tears, chest tight with terror. "Take me to him," she whispered. "I'm not leaving him alone." Vince nodded, and as the van sped away into the night, no one noticed Adrian watching from a distance, blood on his sleeve, hatred in his eyes. This wasn't over. Not for any of them. The hospital lights were too white, too cold, too bright, too quiet. Emily sat in the waiting room with blood on her hands, Luca's blood, drying on her skin like paint she couldn't wipe away. Vince paced back and forth. Rico talked to officers outside. Nurses hurried, doctors whispered, machines beeped, but Emily heard none of it. All she heard was the echo of Luca's last words before he collapsed. "I love you." Her chest tightened each time those words replayed in her head. A nurse approached. Emily jumped to her feet so quickly the chair scraped the floor. "How is he? Is he alive? Is he—" The nurse lifted a hand gently. "We stabilized him," He lost a lot of blood, but he's responding. Emily sagged forward, grabbing the back of the chair for balance as tears blurred her vision. But he's not out of danger yet, the nurse continued. We moved him out of surgery 10 minutes ago. He's in recovery. Only one person can visit. Emily wiped her eyes. Me, please. I'm his... She hesitated. She didn't know what she was to him in official terms. The nurse smiled softly. You're the one he asked for. Her breath caught. Vince stepped closer. Go, he said. He needs you more than us. Emily nodded and followed the nurse down the hall. The sound of machines got louder. The scent of disinfectant stung her nose. She reached a door, took a breath, and stepped inside. Luca was pale. Too pale. His strong frame looked strangely fragile under the hospital sheets. One side of his shirt had been cut open. A thick bandage covered the wound. Tubes ran from his arms, but his eyes were open, and they softened the second they saw her. Emily. His voice was low, rough, strained. She rushed to him, taking his hand carefully. You scared me. You scared me so much. He winced, not from the wound, but from the look on her face. I told you I'm not going anywhere. You almost did, she whispered, tears spilling. You almost left me. He brushed her cheek with the back of his fingers, even though his hand shook. I couldn't, not before knowing if you meant what you said. She swallowed hard. That I love you? Luca closed his eyes briefly, like the words healed more than the doctors did. Yes, he whispered. I meant it, she said. Every word. Luca exhaled like he'd been holding his breath for hours. Good. Because I need you to hear something now. She leaned closer. Anything. He opened his eyes again, and this time there was no armor in them. No coldness, no control, no leader of the Mafia hardness. Only a man who almost died. Emily. I'm done with this, he said. The war. The territory. The life. Adrian made me forget what matters, but I remembered the second I thought I was going to lose you. She blinked. You don't mean that. I do, Luca said. I'm stepping back. I'll handle the business legally, clean, controlled. No more violence unless I have no choice. She shook her head, shocked. But your men, your world, let them think what they want, he said. I've built enough to walk away with power and peace at the same time. I don't need the blood anymore. Emily's chest tightened. Because of me? Because of you, he said. Because I want a future where I don't have to worry about someone putting a gun to your ribs to get my attention. I want a life where I can open a door and not expect a war behind it. She squeezed his hand, tears falling silently. I want that too. He looked up at her, eyes softer than she had ever seen. Stay, he whispered. Stay with me. She brought his hand to her lips. I'm not going anywhere ever again. He chuckled weakly. Good, because I'm in no state to chase you. She laughed softly, brushing his hair from his forehead. Don't move. Don't even think of standing until the doctor says. Boss, a voice yelled from the hallway. Emily turned. Vince pushed the door open, breathing hard. We found the warehouse Adrian escaped to. He's hurt, bleeding, but he's still moving. We can catch him if we go now. Luca's expression hardened slightly, but he didn't move. Send the team, Luca said. But you're not going. Vince frowned. But take Rico. Take 6 men. Don't kill him unless he forces your hand. Bring him in. Vince nodded. Yes, boss. And Vince, Luca added, voice deeper, don't let him near her again. Vince's jaw tightened. I'd die before I let that happen. He left. Emily looked back at Luca. You could have gone with them. I told you, he said. I'm not leaving you. She touched his cheek. Luca. His eyes closed under her touch. Stay close. I need you here. I'm not leaving this room, she said. Not even to breathe. His lips curved. Good. Hours later, Emily had fallen asleep with her head resting on Luca's arm. His hand stayed in her hair, moving weakly but gently. A nurse came in to check his vitals, then paused at the sight. "He's lucky," she whispered. Emily didn't open her eyes. "No, I'm the lucky one." Luca smiled faintly. When Emily finally looked up, he whispered, "Come here." She moved closer, careful of the wires and bandages. His fingers slid against her waist, light but certain. "You saved me," he said. "You saved me first," she answered. "No," Luca whispered. "I've been saving you since the day I stopped those men at your door. I just didn't know who you'd grow up to be." "What am I to you now?" Emily asked quietly. He didn't hesitate. "Everything." Her breath caught. "You are everything." The arrest. Near sunset, Vince returned. "We got him," he said. "Adrian's in custody. Police took him. He's not getting out." Emily exhaled in relief. Luca nodded slowly. "Good. You should rest now," Vince said. "I will," Luca replied. "Emily will make sure of it." Vince smirked. "Oh, I'm sure she will." When Vince left, Emily sat on the edge of the bed and took Luca's hand again. "So it's over?" she asked. "It's over," he said. "No more running, no more hiding, no more danger hanging over us." She leaned closer. "What happens now?" Luca lifted her hand and kissed her knuckles slowly, softly, like a promise. "Now," he said, "I take you home." "That penthouse doesn't feel like home," she whispered. He pulled her closer by the waist, his lips brushing her jaw lightly. "It will," he said, "with you in it." Emily leaned her forehead against his gently. "I love you," she whispered. Luca's fingers curled behind her neck, pulling her closer. "I love you more than the life I'm walking away from," he said. Then he kissed her. Slow, careful, full of everything he'd been holding back. Emily melted into him, tears slipping silently as his hand held her firmly, as if he feared she might disappear again. When they parted, she stayed pressed against him, breathing him in, feeling his heartbeat beneath her palm. He was alive. He was hers. And she was his. 6 months later, Emily placed a fresh cup of coffee on the counter of the same diner where everything had begun. The owner smiled. "You sure you don't want your job back permanently?" Emily laughed. "I have a better offer now." A familiar deep voice spoke behind her. "Much better." She turned. Luca stood there, healthier than ever, scar healed. No suit today, just jeans and a t-shirt. He wrapped an arm around her waist and kissed her temple. "Ready to go?" he asked softly. She nodded. "Always." They walked out hand in hand. The black SUV waited outside, but now it felt like normal life. Not danger. "Where to?" she asked. "Home," he said. "To the penthouse?" "No," he said, brushing a kiss onto her cheek. "To the house we picked together this morning." Her heart jumped. "Luca, no more cold towers," he said. "A real home. For us." Emily leaned her head on his shoulder. "What about the danger?" she whispered. He kissed the top of her head. What danger? And for the first time, she believed it. She had walked into his world by mistake. But she stayed because he would burn entire cities before letting anything happen to her. Emily Parker never expected to fall in love with a mafia boss. But she did, and Luca Zanetti never expected to walk away from power. But he did, for her. If you enjoy stories like this, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. That's how I'll know you truly liked it. Even if you're watching on your TV, grab a second to join this family of fans who love emotional and heartfelt stories. Your support means everything, and it helps us bring you even more tales like this one.